Hey gang, have you ever wanted to make a vinyl copy of maybe just one of your albums, or maybe do a short run of vinyl, maybe 1 to 50 copies? Simply because getting 200 or 100 done is just too darn expensive? Well, the people at Austin Signal can help you. Austin Signal is a high-quality recording studio and vinyl cutting facility located 15 minutes outside of Austin. In addition to traditional modern recording services, the studio also specializes in some very unique offerings, including short-run vinyl production, single mic recording, and direct-to-disc recording. Just go to austinsignal.com, click on How Did I Get Here in their menu, or just follow the link in the text of this podcast. When you get there, enter promo code HDIGH for 10% off short-run vinyl cutting. That's right, HDIGH gets you 10% off vinyl cutting. All right? Go get you some vinyl, guys. That's austinsignal.com. Let's get down. Hey gang, you looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art, affordable venue for rehearsal and recording, located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, a friendly and courteous staff there to help you realize your dreams. That's right. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Pro Town with Space, rehearsal, and recording.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a great week, whatever it is you did this week. I've had a good week, friends. Yes. Tuesday night, I got to speak and play a song at the Feel the Love Music Expo here in Austin at Emo's. It was put on by the Austin Music Foundation. It was like a whole music industry and musicians gathering and meet and greet. It was interesting to get to play in front of that group of people. And it was just one song, so it was like one of those things where I gave a little speech for like a minute and a half talking about growing up, coming up as a musician in this community and as a person and what this community means to me. And then I played a song that I wrote with Mark Addison, a member of this very fine music community. It was a good time. It was a nice thing. The mayor spoke after I did, and he was nice. I got to talk to him for a minute. I know that he's going through some. I know this because I posted a photo of me and the mayor because I said, "Hey man, you take a picture with me?" And he's like, "Sure." So we do this picture. I posted it on Instagram and on Facebook, and I had to remove some of the comments because there's some people out there that are really angry with that dude. Politics is dividing up our thing. Speaking of which. Last night, Wednesday night, I watched that debate. I haven't been watching the debates because I start watching them and then I'm like, I don't, who is that guy? You know, there's always a guy on there where you're like, who's that guy? So there was a billionaire guy whose name is escaping me now. That's another thing is like Mike Bloomberg was in this thing. Who is that guy? Guy is weird. I know he's the mayor of New York. I know I know the stuff about him, but also like, who is that guy? Why is he? And also, if he ends up being the candidate, it's these two billionaires like running for president. You get the feeling that America doesn't really want a president. They just want a rich dad. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I'm getting right now. It's like, hey, yeah, man, you know what? Let's be trust fund kids, America, and let's have a rich asshole dad. Because, I don't know, whatever. Also, Joe Biden, I don't know what's going on with this plastic surgery thing. I know that I should be paying attention to the issues, and we all know the issues, and I think we can all stand on it. But let me talk about the things that really matter, like the facelifts that Joe Biden's getting that are making his face just look weird. He's starting to look like Terrence and Phillip from South Park. You know, he's starting to get that weird kind of like too much plastic surgery, and his face is turning into Terrence and Phillip from South Park, which is freaking me out. Did I feel like, oh, I latched on to somebody? I thought Elizabeth Warren, across the board, she was very in the face. She was she's making her presence known. But I don't know. I really don't. I feel confused by this whole process now. I feel like it used to be a lot clearer. And you kind of had a guy or a lady or whatever. You had a person. You put your money on that person. Not your money, but you put your trust in that person. and then they either win or lose. But now it's like this big giant mess where you gotta never talk to your Uncle Steve again because he likes one guy that you don't like, and you guys just can't see eye to eye on that one issue, and you're never going to talk to these people. So it's so divisive. So when I posted that picture of me and the mayor, I mean, I know this homeless stuff is really insane, and but I guess he's done some stuff for the music community. He's there. Look, the mayor was there. I was there. We were speaking. I wanted a picture with the mayor. That sounds incredibly shallow, and it probably is. So that's all I have to say. I did have a good time at the Feel the Love Music Expo. It was the 6th annual. There'll be a 7th one next year. Definitely, if you missed out on it this time, get out there and go to it, because you get to come face to face with the people from KUTX, from Black Fret, all the people that you want to meet here in town, Austin Music Foundation, Ham, Sims, different organizations. There's a ton of them going on here. Anyway, Feel the Love Music Expo. Check it out next year. What else is going on? I'm playing with Skyrocket tonight in San Antonio. If you live in San Antonio today, Friday, February 21st, we will be playing at Sam's Burger Joint. We go on stage about 9. Come on out. It's always a good time at the Sam's. Then tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to Houston. Going to grab my girlfriend, Jenna, and we're going to go to my Aunt Christina's birthday in Conroe. Then Jenna and I are going to spend the day together on Sunday. And Monday, I've got a gig in Houston with this company, Song Division. I'm doing that and coming back on Tuesday. So it's going to be a fun weekend, hopefully. Hopefully you have a fun weekend going on. Guys, I have a great show for you today. Grace Rowland from The Deer is on the show. Yeah, the other day I drove out to her art studio over right next to Radio Coffee and Beer here in Austin. I drove over there, set up the mics in her beautiful art studio, looking at her beautiful cut paper art. She's an amazing artist, and The Deer are an amazing band. Their latest album, Do No Harm, is out now. It's up for Austin Music Award Album of the Year. They'll be playing Friday, March 6th at Barracuda. They're going to be doing Old Settlers Festival. They're going to be doing Kerrville Folk Fest this year. So make sure you get out there and check them out. Grace and I have a fantastic conversation. I'd never met her before, and so I went over there, met her, sat down, set up the mics, pushed record, and we got to know each other. And then as soon as it was done, nice to meet you, take a picture, and I left. You can find Grace Rowland's artwork at gracerowland.com. You can find The Deer and The Deer's music and their videos at thedeermusic.com. I love their music. It's very, very dreamy. It's ethereal. And it's very dynamic. Like, it gets very soft. It gets very quiet. They're a broad-sounding band. While it's based in folk music, it isn't just a guitar and a voice. It's orchestrated, which is, I guess, where that orchestrated psychedelia comes, or symphonic psychedelia word comes from. Anyway, Grace and I have a great conversation. I hope that you enjoy it. And without further ado, here's me and Grace Rowland from The Deer. Let's get down.
Far beyond the starry sea, upon one time I fell into a
Your record, Do No Harm, is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. It's so dreamy.
Thank you.
Are you, do you write the songs yourself?
I write much of the lyrics, but most of them are co-writes with Jesse Dalton, who also plays bass in the band.
How do you guys do that?
Well,
What does that look like?
Oftentimes he'll come with something kind of half done, and I'll help him finish it. There are a few that I just wrote on my own, but the band helps arrange all of them once we get them all written.
Is that fun? Because your band's pretty big.
It is fun.
Is it like 6 people?
It is 5 people.
It's 5 people.
Yeah,
okay.
but we have guests sometimes. We move from place to place, and our guitar player is mainly the sound engineer for it.
Okay.
So he pretty much helped us run the entire thing while we were making it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And taught a lot of us how to run it while he was playing guitar.
Oh, awesome. So, you guys, Oh, you're from the hill country?
Yeah, I grew up in Marble Falls.
Okay. What did you grow up seeing music and being part of the music? Like, were your parents like music fans or anything?
Yeah, my dad was in a band in the 70s called Aspen.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Did they play around like all the places?
They were from Colorado. They lived around Durango and played around Albuquerque, went on a few tours.
Nice.
Yeah. I get a lot of my musical side from my dad, but also my mom's brother and her father sing as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So did you grow up seeing music? Did you ever get to see Aspen, or were you too young?
I never got to see Aspen. They broke up when my sister was a baby. But I have heard the records and they're amazing. But I did. My parents did take me to several concerts once I was old enough, and my guitar teacher played out, and so I would go see him and the lady that he played with, Debbie Walton, playing together. And yeah.
So did that have an effect on you? Like, when did you start taking guitar lessons?
8th grade, I believe it was. But my dad had shown me some stuff a little bit before that, and I was interested in doing it just to accompany myself. But I was always kind of scared of the stage.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was about 20 that I started writing my own stuff and playing them for people.
What was like the catalyst? What made you want to do that?
Well, it was actually a pretty big deal. I was always pretty shy, and all my friends. I majored in music, so I knew a bunch of really amazing musicians, but it just made me sick to my stomach to play for people.
Did you go to Southwest?
Yeah, Texas State.
Texas
at the
State,
time,
yeah.
Southwest Texas. Yeah.
You know, little trivia. Not that this show's about me, but I wrote the song for the commercial when they changed their name.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of Robert Rodriguez's little sisters sang it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I recorded it out there.
I think was she the one that worked at the coffee pot?
I don't
back
know.
In the day?
I don't.
Yeah, I remember somebody famous, one of the Rodriguez family worked at the coffee pot, and we would go in and be like, "That's her."
So you were going to school there, and you were majoring in music. What did you think you were going to do with your life?
Well, at first it was radio and communication, but
Okay.
I changed quickly over to music, and I thought maybe I would major in vocal education so that I could be a teacher,
Okay.
but I wasn't really sure about that either.
And all the while you were doing visual art?
Not really until later.
Wow. It's kind of like a...
I always made art for fun,
Sure.
but people didn't really start buying it until like much later.
Right.
Until I was about 26 or so. But I was one time out camping with some friends, and it was super late at night, and I was having really rough time of it. I was suffering from a lot of anxiety attacks back then.
Okay.
I was an RA, so I was working my butt off basically and trying to burn it at both ends. And I started to have an anxiety attack while I was out camping, which is a disaster. I was about 2.5 hours away from home. And so I called my friend, I called my mom, I went over, I called my sister, and she said, "Don't call her, Mom." And then I went over and
She'll just worry her.
and I went and talked with my friend Jesse, who plays bass with me now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always in some of my favorite bands at the school, and I always really admired him as a musician. And I was like, "I'm having a tough time. I think I'm going to go home." And he was like, "You can't go home. Just play a song. I'm going to play you a song, and then you can play a song." And I played something. I played "Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child."
Yeah, Richie Havens.
Yeah. And it's something that I've been singing for a long time, so I was real comfortable with it. And it just like came out of me. And I should say at this point that we had taken some mushrooms.
Okay.
And it was hitting me pretty hard.
That's not a good anxiety helper, is it?
Oh, no, not at all. But, like, it's kind of about accepting your fate and just kind of taking what's happening.
Sure.
And letting it sink in that this is not going to change for a while, and getting used to how your mind is. And so just sing at the top of my lungs, and my music friends just looked over at me like, "What? You sing?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're in music school together." And they were like, "Yeah, but we never really heard you sing before." And I realized that I wasn't shaking anymore. My heart rate had leveled out. I wasn't sweating, and I was completely at ease. My anxiety attack had gone. And so I kept singing, and it felt great. It was medicine. So after that, I decided to never not do that.
Yeah. Has it done a 180 yet and caused more anxiety than it relieves?
Fortunately, no. I haven't had a crippling anxiety attack like I used to get in over a decade.
Wow.
Yeah. Just regularly practicing music and regularly having an outlet, including art, has really helped me focus my energy in a more productive way.
Yeah. I find that when you're like they say the idle hands are the devil's work, or whatever that thing is. My thing is like idle hands keep you from choking yourself to death. Or, busy hands keep you from choking yourself to death.
Oh yeah.
Because you're to me, I'm the worst one out there. The worst critic. The most anxiety-inducing thoughts come from me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. And when I'm busy and doing shit, I don't have time to look around and see what's happening to me because I'm too busy doing things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's complicated. I don't think that I had like a clinical anxiety disorder or anything,
Right.
So I feel like it would be different for somebody who does, but I definitely would have these bouts every couple weeks where I would feel overwhelmed and my heart would start racing and start spiraling out, and I was like, mainly the root of it was like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
So once I started singing out like that, I felt it physically leave my body. I felt energy leave my body.
Right.
And after that, I've done it as therapy.
I get up every day and walk like 5 or 6 miles, and a lot of it is like in that sort of puppy thing that like you take a puppy and wear them out. They don't chew up your shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
get rid of that
exactly.
residual anxious energy
Exactly.
by getting into some sort of. So art does that for you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sitting down and focusing on one thing.
It's the only thing really that I've found that I
Shows. Do you? I'm in your studio right now for those who are listening, and this is your art studio.
Yes, yeah. It's also a little storage room for radio. My partner runs radio.
Oh, cool.
So they let me use this area. I've got a stained glass studio in the back.
Do you do stained glass?
I do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Stuff like I got a bee right here.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah.
And I do commissions and stuff. Mostly graphic design. I do a lot of album art and flyers. I do all the flyers for radio.
Those are awesome flyers, by the way.
Thank you.
Great work. People can find that stuff at gracerowland.com.
Yes.
That's where they can find your art. I went there and looked at it.
Thanks.
It's awesome. Well, you're like you're like an artist. That's what you are. You make stuff and put it out in the world.
Yeah.
So, so you played around at Texas State University, and then what year did you graduate?
I didn't graduate from Texas State. I left there my senior year because I couldn't pass my teaching internship.
Okay.
I did the whole classical training, and in your senior year, you're supposed to get your certification. And I did an internship at a school, and I realized that this was not the life for me because I was already traveling with a band called the Blue Hit, my first band.
What kind of band was it?
We like to describe it as a minimalist folk trio. It was just me, my friend on guitar, and my friend on cello. So it was super simple,
Wow.
pared down parts, and I just sang and kind of like got my yah-yahs out, wrote a bunch of songs, and we toured for about 5 or 6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Like all over the country and stuff?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first like real professional band experience.
Are those records out there?
They sure are. Yeah.
Do you have any regret for that? Because I'm 51, so like all my first shit, you can't find it. There's no like high school thing on YouTube of me, thank God.
Well, there's nothing of me either, but
Oh, that's good.
I mean, unless there's that second grade talent show, The Little Mermaid, man. But I don't know. No, I'm glad that we took it pretty seriously. I mean, I was in another band that never really took ourselves seriously. We never really like went anywhere. We played around local venues and open mics and stuff called the Warblers. It's
Nice.
just me and some friends, and we never really like got down to rehearsing or anything. But with the Blue Hit, we buckled down and focused a lot on like marketing, and that's why a lot of it's on Spotify still. But the website, I think, is just dead now. I don't know.
Oh. When did the band split up? What year?
Well, we still play together
Oh, you do?
sometimes. But I guess we like officially split up in like 2010, 2011, because I was starting the Deer.
Right.
I had a whole new slew of songs that they didn't really want to do. Our cellist wanted to move to New York. We were all kind of going our separate ways. Our guitar player, John McGee, who goes by Jinx McGee, is awesome. He's an awesome producer and went like totally in a pop direction. And I wanted to go in more folky, folk rock direction. And so we've all got our own projects now. The cellist, David Moss, plays with his twin brother in a band called the Brother Brothers, and they're amazing out of Brooklyn.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then what was the bass player's name again? Sorry.
Oh,
The guy that you write with it in the Deer.
oh, Jesse Dalton.
Jesse Dalton.
Yeah, he'd been my friend for a long time.
So you guys started the Deer together. Did you? Or did you start it on your own?
Me and Michael McLeod,
Okay.
the lead electric player.
Right, because at first it was Grace Park and the Deer.
Exactly,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So I didn't really have an idea of who was going to be in it, and I didn't really want to tour because I had just gotten married and I kind of wanted to settle down and start a family and all this stuff. So I just wanted to get these songs down, and my friend Mike McLeod had studied some engineering, some studio time and stuff, and was able to like record me. So I got everybody together and we made this first album, An Argument for Observation. And I was going by Grace Park at the time because I married a guy named Silas Parker, kind of took his name and moved it to my stage name.
You took it like just part of his name?
Yeah.
I'll just take the first part.
Yeah. Well, I wanted a stage name,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
so I got one, whether I like it or not now. But yeah, and I've since changed it back to my original name to kind of embrace my roots a little more. And yeah, we made that first album, and then people kind of stuck, and then we got booked for some shows, which I didn't really expect to happen, but we kept going and played a bunch of shows, and then our backup singer died.
Yeah. I wrote Stephanie Bledsoe.
Yes, yeah.
What happened?
She started a farm down in San Marcos called Thigh High Gardens.
Is that where you lived and worked as well?
That's where
Okay.
I lived, yeah.
Okay.
That's where I lived after, when I got married. My husband and I moved out there with her.
Is it like a commune or something in a way?
You know, I guess you could call it that.
I mean, that's how it reads when you're reading the bio. It's like,
It's
was she in a commune?
It's run by a community, so not a lot of people lived out there except for me and Silas.
Okay.
We had few tenants rotate in and out, but it was mostly like volunteers who just came and they're still out there working. They're still making amazing things happen in that community.
And you farmed? Was that something that you got? Were you like, okay, this is kind of my jam. I want to live on a farm and farm.
You know, I never really at all saw it going there.
Okay.
Until Stephanie came into our lives, and she was interested in. She was a horticulture major and a music minor, so she was just like this Renaissance woman. She decided to buy a farm, an 18-acre beautiful piece of property out on Lime Kiln Road, and she wanted to start a permaculture garden, and I knew nothing about that at the time. But she went out there and worked her butt off for about a year and a half. Was living in a yurt with a porch that was about 6 feet up off the ground. And there hadn't been a railing built on it yet. And she was with somebody one night and then went outside at about 4 a.m. I guess she was going to go pee off the porch, fell and pulled a chimenea down, and it crushed her skull.
Oh my God.
She lived for about a week.
So sorry.
Yeah, it sucked. It was a nightmare. She lived for about a week and was pretty lucid, but passed away from swelling a little after that. This was in August of 2013.
Yeah.
She was 27 years old.
Wow.
So it was just this. It was just a devastating blow to the entire community.
To community, yeah. Yeah, and the band family, it happens the same way that when a family loses a member.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It kind of brought us together in a funny way, because all of us who were left were just like, wow, okay, so that can happen, and how precious is life? How long do we have here? And so a lot of songs came out of that. Jesse and I really got to writing about her, and that's when we made the second album.
Yeah, the essence of the indomitable spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's her.
Yeah, I when I went to listen to the albums after I read the stuff, and you can feel the healing and the pain, in that record.
Yeah.
It's such a heavy thing to sort of like bounce back from as a band. I need to drink this.
Oh yeah,
cherry soda. Not to change the subject into something lighter, but I mean, is her presence felt like even now when you're making records and when you're doing things?
Yeah, definitely. There's still a lot of lyrical content that pertains to her, even on.
I don't see how it couldn't.
Album. Yeah. And she's very much with us still.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Well, I mean, people are like that, but especially when you share something as intimate as music, sometimes it's not just friendship. You also have this amazing, almost spiritual connection to someone that you would like if you were in a romantic relationship in a way,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Some of my longest musical relationships are like without the romantic relationships. Like,
we're pretty much married for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good,
I think so. I think it should be like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you should play with anyone that you don't feel that way about. I mean, permanently. Like, be forced to travel with people that you don't see as your family or that you couldn't see getting there with.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you bring up, because you also do solo performances. Like, did you just play at that Bernie thing?
I'm about to this weekend.
Oh, that's this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't be here, but... so, when you do that, you play just solo?
I made a pretty specific decision to not use the band as a platform for that, because it employs so many people. And to endorse a candidate, I think would, I don't know, we don't have enough fans, I think that making a statement like that is pretty bold for the entire group, but for me to make it on my own,
sure,
I feel very good about that.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah.
I go back and forth between does anyone really care what I think about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, with the Deer, it's not just about me.
Right,
it's
right.
not just about what I think. It's about what everybody thinks, and if if the entire band takes a stance like that, it's got to be an entire band decision.
Yeah.
And that's something that I didn't want to mix with business.
Yeah. There's going to be one guy in the band that's like, I'm not a socialist. I'm just joking.
It's more like, if you vote, you're just playing into the system, man. Anarchy.
Does the system weird you out at all?
Oh, yeah. No, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
I've never been very interested in politics until 2016 election. I always kind of just thought that it worked okay, or just that all politicians were exactly the same. And I learned during that election cycle that the politicians are actually very different from each other, and you can really get into the nuances of policy if you really give a crap about studying it. And so I buckled down and tried to learn something about how it works. And
How do you find out about it? Like, where do you get information? Because that's the part that I feel like since 2016 we live in this world of like, just information is something someone might have just made up right now and told you.
I try to go for news that uses like less loaded words. So if I see an article that's like, this scoundrel is a butthole, then I'm like, okay, this is, you know, someone's opinion. But if it's like, we have a plan to put a marginal tax rate on incomes over $10 million.
Yeah, there you go. That's a little,
and then I looked into what that meant, and I was like, that would single-handedly pay for Medicare for all. And I think we could expand public education. I think that we, the American people, deserve to put their tax dollars into infrastructure and public goods.
Yeah. I think ultimately most people do think that as well, but they get clouded in their own personal, needs.
Yeah.
Drinking bubbly water was probably not the best idea for this. And by the way,
about the change.
This Scoundrel is a Butthole is the name of my memoir.
Excellent.
Coming out this fall.
That.
I just wanted you to know that.
I get it, and I wouldn't want to like force it on. I wouldn't want to force mandatory strength of infrastructure on anyone. But I think when people say America first, I think that's what they really mean.
Come on.
And like, I don't know. I think if we realize the difference between like what socialism used to mean and what it means in this context, that we would be less scared of buzzwords and more interested in like details and facts behind and the data behind the actual bills that are being drafted about it.
I think that's one thing that whole part of the government has done a really good job of keeping us a little bit confused by. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of explanation. There's just a lot of terms thrown out. You don't really know.
A lot of emotions.
A lot of emotions, yeah. They know how to play on people's emotions.
I really do. My mom has always been a very temperate source of guidance for me, and she was Republican for a lot of my childhood.
Which was during the Clinton?
Yes, Bush and Clinton and Obama even. But when Trump came on the scene, she and my father, who were both pretty staunch Republicans, not necessarily very socially conservative, but fiscally conservative, he was a deal breaker for them. And I listened, you know?
That's good to hear. That it's hard because I come from a family of Republicans that wear the hat and everything.
Yeah.
MAGA, even my brother and stuff. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, really? It's not really what you're... Yeah.
No, I think for them it's about like feeling free to express themselves and feeling free to dissent in their own way. I think they really do believe that he is an outsider who is going to change things. I think in their heart of hearts, a lot of them really do think that he's been great for the economy and great for everything. Unfortunately, I disagree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that all day, but it just really gets exhausting, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I always try to come back to my compassion for other humans, and if somebody doesn't meet that picture of everybody should just be kind to everybody. Everybody should treat each other with respect, even if we do disagree.
Yeah.
And part of treating people with respect sometimes means punching a Nazi in the face. You know, it's complicated.
That is true.
If someone's free speech is threatening your rights, and if you're tolerating intolerance, it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, stepping outside of the political realm. Are you guys playing South by Southwest this year?
Oh, yeah. Maybe more so than we have in the past couple of years. We're actually officially playing for Showcase. Trying to think of when.
You don't have to say when, but people can find all that stuff at thedearmusic.com. But you're doing
something for Keeled Scales for our label, and
okay.
Something for 9 Mile, our booking label.
Okay, fantastic. How do you like that 9 Mile?
I love it. We just started working with them recently.
They're a label too, yeah.
They are a label, yeah. Good Austin people who have some good national connections. We've been able to plan a tour. Our first tour with them is going to be in June on the East Coast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long are you going out?
About 2 or 3 weeks. We made a deal to not go much longer than that.
That seems like
crazy on the road.
That seems like the most. I remember 15 years ago, talking to Bob Schneider about that. I went out on a tour and he's like, "Oh, it's just 3 weeks," and I was like, "Oh, really? That's it?" He's like, "Yeah, that's all I do now. That's all. That's as long as I want to be gone."
I mean, we used to go out on the road for 2 months at a time, and it made us crazy. It made our home life suffer a lot.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. I was married, and I was on from the time I was married for 10 years, and from the time I got married, the first time I'd ever spent more than 4 days consecutively with my wife was on our honeymoon, and we got in from our honeymoon at midnight, and I had to get in the van at 6 to go to Kansas City. Jeez. For a gig the next day at 6 in the morning.
That's probably how my second honeymoon is going to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because at the end of that whole thing, there were people that were like, "Oh yeah, you're getting divorced because you were gone that whole time." I was like, "No, it's because I came home for a year."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, this is you all the time." All right.
God.
No, thanks, buddy.
Sounds about right.
But that does happen. So how, you've been going out to those places since 2012, 2013, or 2014?
Yeah, just about.
Are you you guys have fans? You see the crowds building?
On the East Coast, it's relatively new for the Deer.
Okay.
The Blue Hit used to go all the time to the East Coast. We played in a lot of smaller folk venues though, so the Deer, we need a little bit more firepower. We don't have as big of a base on the East Coast, but on the West Coast and in Colorado, we've seen the crowds gather for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't honestly, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but I really just I love your music so much. And it's funny, when Travis was on the show was when I first listened to Do No Harm in its entirety, and I was just blown away, and I was just like, man, these guys are. And I remember I first heard of you guys through Matt the Electrician when he came on the podcast. I was doing it even when he did that series of albums with different people, and I know you guys were one of them, and that was when I first heard you and heard of you. And then now I remember those albums, and I'm like, oh, she must have done the album cover too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've been nominated a few times. Did you win any of those Austin Music Industry Awards?
I don't think we find out until March.
Oh, no. I mean, you've been nominated for artwork for albums.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
For 2 different album covers. Was nominated but didn't win.
Okay. That's still awesome, though.
It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, and your artwork really is beautiful. You guys did win in 2018. You won Best Folk Band.
Yes.
And you're nominated this year for Best Album. Mm-hmm. And we'll find out soon when that happens.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Feel real good about that album. It is up against the Black Pumas, so we'll see. But I'd be real surprised if we won against them because they're so amazing.
Yeah. And they're so popular, but it's so funny because you look at it a couple weeks ago, the Black Pumas were nominated for Best New Band at the Grammys, and they were like, I don't know if we're going to win because Billie Eilish and Lizzo are also nominated, you know what I mean? But you never know. I mean, I think, did you notice the new voting thing? The new way they do the nominations and stuff?
Yeah, they had a
nice
panel. Jack, my fiance, he was consulted about it. He was one of the.
I got a consultation as well.
Yeah, it's I don't know. They'll let anybody do that, I guess.
That's what I said when I told someone else told me they did. It's I felt all special at first, but they let you do it.
Oh man. Ooh.
Well, I mean, this. Do you have anything to do with radio outside of fiancéing?
Well, I did the big mural out there.
Oh, really?
It says "All are welcome."
Yeah.
When Jack and I first got together, he commissioned that from me. It's something they'd been talking about doing for a long time to try to bring people here. It's a huge message that you can see from the road.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's worked out really well.
Yeah. they have great. You guys play here, right?
Oh
At
yeah,
radio?
yeah. We played here New Year's a few years in a row.
That's awesome. So for the rest of this year, you'll be touring. Have you gone out on tour for this record yet?
Yeah.
You went out when it came out in November.
Yeah, we did a West Coast run, Colorado, for a couple weeks there, and went really well. Really proud to bring this thing out.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous record.
Thank you.
Do you know when you're getting married?
April 11th.
All right.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Oh yeah. We have a wedding planner, so I feel
really
weird about not working really hard right now on that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh,
The last one, did you do all the stuff yourself?
My last wedding, both of our last weddings, me and Jack have both been married before. They were both pretty minimal.
DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too. We had a keg and like bottles of wine at Zilker Clubhouse.
We've been friends for too long to have a small elopement. We're just gonna go big for this one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys go out on tour in June. You're doing the South by Southwest. You're nominated. Your album's nominated for Album of the Year. You've gotten on a lot of people's top 10 lists. Just people do respond very strongly to the music, like emotionally. Like
Yeah.
it seems to really strike a chord.
Yeah, we hear a lot of really, really interesting emotional feedback for sure.
Is it hard, like when you're doing, like your band is so still and so like, you ever listen to Cowboy Junkies Trinity Sessions? Oh, you might like that album. But they were also very dreamy, very quiet, very still.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. It's orchestrated.
Yeah.
But it's very calm. And like, I wonder in the thing of South by Southwest, like, do you get to play like at least some of those showcases without like having some, Metallica-esque band playing before and after you?
Yeah, I mean, well, luckily we're playing with people that we know
Right.
because of our, close-knit Austin labels that we're doing our parties for. And we're headlining both of those. So we're playing at like 1 a.m. We're going to really bring everybody down. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they were like, didn't last. Yeah, I used to be a little bummed about that. Like, why don't we sound like other people? Why don't, how come there's no other bands that are like us? But at this point, it's like we sound how we sound, and we have gathered this following because of that. So it's, it's just us. All we can be is us.
Yeah. What about solo stuff? Are you going to make like solo records? Is there Grace Rowland solo records coming, or?
Probably not. But if you listen to the Deer records, you can hear a lot of my solo songs on there. So I like to feel like that is kind of an extension of it. Jesse, our bass player, Jesse Dalton, has a record out though. His solo record is amazing.
Oh, awesome.
I'm on it. So's Noah in the band. And several other friends of ours, Roger Sellers, who's also Bayonne. And yeah, it's an amazing record. He just came out with it, and I have no idea how anyone can get it. It's ridiculous.
Really?
You can get it at our shows.
Yeah.
He's been selling it at the merch booth at our shows, but I'd love to find a way to share an update with you whenever he gets a website for that.
Yeah, I would love
the
that.
record's amazing.
Yeah. I can imagine all of you guys individually have great things to offer because you do collectively as well.
Yeah, everybody's got side projects and stuff.
Have you guys ever backed anyone up outside of just Matt? Didn't you guys backed him up on that EP, right?
Yeah, actually, our band used to be, back in the day, we used to back up this guy Dominic Hendricks, and it was called Hendricks McLeod because it was Dominic and Michael's music.
Okay.
Pretty much same band, and I would sing backup quite a bit. And that's kind of how we morphed into the Deer, because we went on tour once as Grace Park and the Deer and played with two different lead singers for both of those.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. Stephanie was with us, and we went up to Oregon Country Fair, and it was an adventure for sure.
Did you ever see footage of like when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers opened for and then backed up Bob Dylan?
Whoa, no.
Like a year and a half
That's amazing.
tour. I saw it twice. It was pretty unbelievable.
Dude.
Yeah.
I bet that was cool.
Yeah.
We've also backed up as a band Chris Chandler and Brian Cutian. They play. We met them out at Kerrville Folk Festival, but they play out at Oregon Country Fair.
Okay. You're doing Kerrville this year.
Yes, we are.
Are you guys like? Is this the first one? No, you've done more.
We've done it before.
Okay. Are you doing like the main stage?
Yes, we are.
You are?
Yeah.
All right. And you're doing Old Settlers as well?
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of cool people. Was Jason Isbell? Was that last year? That he was playing?
I think he's this year, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They've got some good lineups, dude. It's Kerrville's coming a long way too. We used to play. I mean, I wrote one of my first songs in the back of a bus out there at Kerrville. It was about like right when I first started writing.
Do you like being in that community? Like that's a very
it's mixed, you know. I think at first it was really huge for me formatively because it was such a receptive audience to the kind of music that I naturally made. Mm-hmm. So I felt a lot of love from that community as I was coming up as a young musician, and I was able to really see people and jam with people who were just doing it for a living.
Right.
I'd never really been super exposed to them, and that was about like my junior year in college.
Did you meet Matt, the electrician, out there, or no?
If not out there, I met him through people
out there.
Okay. Yes.
Where did you guys record that?
We recorded it out at this place, and I'm trying to remember what the name of the studio is, out near Creedmoor. He's got a studio that he goes to specifically for it.
And that did he just come and ask you guys, like, hey, do you want to back me up? Or did you guys become friends, and then one night you're out, and he's like, hey. Yeah,
we were already friends, and I'd been enjoying his music for a while, and he let me know when he started that series.
Yeah.
He was like, this is going to be a whole series, and I want you to do the artwork, and want you guys to come in and do the recordings with me. And we thought it was a great idea. He's really got a lot of innovative ideas of how to release things.
Yes,
I think
he does.
That idea of like the small EPs was a really good way to stretch out a great deal of music over a long time.
Yeah.
Instead of releasing like one album every few years, it was like one group of songs every, couple months.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant, and it was really cool that he got the artists when he could, the artists who he was working with to make the art.
Right.
He did one of them with Little Brave.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of her, Stephanie
Me too.
Macias.
Yeah.
And she did the artwork for it and sang with him on it. It was awesome.
I did a podcast with Stephanie, and I'd seen her play, and in the podcast she said that she was a photographer, and then I was like, well, will you do some pictures with me? And so I did a photo shoot with her, and I'm not gonna lie, it's really like almost the most comfortable I've ever felt.
Wow.
Ever. Like having
I had no idea she did photography, but
she's an amazing photographer, and just that her vibe when you're shooting with her is like her vibe when you're hanging with her. It just feels real good.
Cool.
Yeah.
She's so impressive.
She's super impressive. What is that?
He's backing up.
Oh.
I live in a parking lot.
Do you live here too?
No, I work here.
I was gonna say, man, this is intense.
I live at work.
You are committed. You won Black Fret.
Yes.
Not this past year, but the year before, right?
Uh-huh.
You won a big grant, 20 grand?
18 grand.
18 grand.
Yeah.
And you used that to?
We use that to make Do No Harm.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, we use that to pay the engineers and shop it around to different labels and stuff, and then got picked up by Keeled Scales, and they helped us
release
make it a reality. Yeah.
How is that now, shopping for labels? Is so different than what it once was?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more just like whoever's the most interested, whoever shows the most enthusiasm for the product, for the album as a product.
That was measured by money at one point before.
I know. Yeah. I think for us, the music is important to us. We're not, if we were in it for the money, it would sound way different. But this is...
I'm glad you're not.
I don't know. This is something that has grown from the ground up. So it's making money now, but it didn't always. And I think that was always kind of the intent, is to be able to get it there.
Yeah.
To start with the art and then get there eventually with the money.
Yeah. Can I tell you how different it seems like people view that model now? They like want the stuff. Like I work with Austin Music Foundation and talking to like other bands, like up and coming bands. They come in for advice and stuff. And there was one band that came in one day and I was like, I noticed you guys so many likes on Facebook, but I can't find your music anywhere. Am I looking in the wrong place? They're like, no, we haven't recorded. They hired a publicist to help them get their numbers up. It took me almost an entire hour to explain to them that the people that liked them didn't like anything.
Yeah.
And they just didn't understand that concept. It was very hard, and it made me think of it's a very
Weird.
That's a very modern sort of delusion that young artists have. They don't go like, hey, I'm going to make something and hopefully it's good enough for people to like me. It's like, I want people to like me, I better make something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We've always kind of looked in on those kind of situations and just wondered, like, what if, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can only do it the way that we do it, so it just kind of happened.
Yeah. And so you're in your creative cycle. I also think it's cool that you guys are still releasing albums, because like you're saying, that Matt had a really brilliant idea stretching that out. But you released an album. It seems like your band doesn't seem like a band that you would get just a single from. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seems like you need a whole...
We kind of feel that way too. That's how we've always consumed music. And I guess we're old school, but like the vinyl, the group of songs, our guitar player and engineer Michael, he's got a Pink Floyd tattoo, and we always really got together on all of those Pink Floyd albums, because it's not about how many songs are on it, it's not about how long it is, but it's about the experience from start to finish. I always really admired the album as a whole, as a group of songs.
It's interesting that you're able to find the people that are looking for that also as an audience, you know?
Yeah.
Seems like that would be a really hard sort of... for trying to find the people that still want to have like a whole album. I mean, I know there are people out there like that. I'm like that.
Well, that's why we've been playing in the jam band circuit for quite a while, is because those people go to shows. Those are the music appreciators. Those are the diehards. And a lot of us, I am a recent convert, but many of our members are great admirers of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And there's this culture around it, like it or not, you know, it's a culture of heavy music consumption. Yeah. And it's not about the image of the band, and it's not about, like, you know, all the things. It's not about how many listeners you have or how many followers. It's
who your
it's something
publicist
else
is,
altogether.
or that kind of like invisible crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like a family, and I know that sounds pretty cliche.
No,
they've been there for us since day one, and
really
keep coming back.
And so that's what's going on over there in Colorado,
exactly.
California.
Yeah. Portland, Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you guys can get up to like Vermont. There's a bunch of them up there.
Oh yeah.
Aren't there?
I'd love to go to Vermont again.
I just always think of like really beautiful natural places. That's where they reside, though.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Grateful Dead was following me around for a little while, but I realized it was the other way around.
There's a really great, I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, there's a great documentary like series about them.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's really like their whole story over like the course of like 4 or 5 hours. It's pretty interesting.
Still learning a lot about them.
I think that once when you decide to open that box and start digging around in it, there's so much, like all their shoys they ever played are out there. You know what I mean? Like everything.
Tell me about it. Yeah, on long car drives, you know.
you guys listen.
Oh, they've got yeah.
Hey man, you guys have Halloween '76 in Portland, or where? They always have
Yes,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the name of this album? And then they just name a month and a year, and it's like, are you just making that up, or wait, wasn't Jerry dead in '94? Wait.
Have you ever gotten to be around them at all?
What do you mean around them?
I don't know, like in these festivals. My friends are in the New Bohemians, and they just played some festival, and Bob Weir played guitar for like 2 songs with them in a set. At like a jammy festival.
No, we have not been able to do that. But there's a first time for everything, I guess.
There is.
I think the closest we got was playing a festival with Peter Rowland.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Peter, Paul, and Mary guy.
No, he was in Old and in the Way with Jerry.
Okay.
Back in the day.
I'm not a dead
It's a
guy.
bluegrass band.
I know.
Jerry's bluegrass
I know
band.
about the bluegrass bands.
Badass.
I'm like a pop rock guy. That's where. So like, you know what I mean? Like when you're like super into Cheap Trick, the Dead doesn't really
Yeah, it doesn't
scratch
hit as
the.
hard.
Like if you're super into the Grateful Dead, Cheap Trick probably just bums you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still learning a lot about the history and about like, their songwriters and stuff and their whole career, so I probably have some details wrong, but
There's like
I
American
love
Beauty and the other album either before or after that are like ones that really resonate with me, with like kind of their strongest sort of like compositional material.
yeah.
I think that's a good way to describe that music. Their strongest compositional material.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that there's the bluegrass background to it because I've always been pretty fascinated by it. Never really played bluegrass myself, but very attracted to that sound for sure.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our bass player and our fiddle player Noah, he plays bluegrass. He actually runs bluegrass night here at radio on Mondays.
Really?
And he plays fiddle, mandolin, bass, guitar. He's incredible. Don't tell him I said that.
That's
And he's, he like is my bluegrass guide basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you need a guide because there's a lot of fake bluegrass.
Oh, yeah.
Also, which is
Oh,
what I've
yeah.
learned doing this podcast. I've had a couple of sort of like, so you guys are a bluegrass band. Whoa, no, we don't say that because,
Yeah,
come
you don't want
after
to.
us.
You don't want to be a poser.
Yeah.
That's why I feel nervous talking about the Grateful Dead too, because I'm like I'm so new to it, but I'm fascinated by it.
Who else is in the jam band? It's a band of heathens. They're in it, right?
The jam band?
In the jam band scene.
Oh, in
like
the
band
jam
of
band
heathens
scene.
are part of that.
Well, we've done some shows with a band called Fruition.
Okay.
Out of Portland. I do believe they're still out of Portland. And they rock. It's a rock band. They kind of like helped us feel really comfortable in some of our first festival shows out in Colorado and let's see, I'm blanking of course on,
That's all right.
on all my jam band friends.
I was just trying to think of jam bands that I might know that are out there. Who knows? You guys are playing Friday, March 6th. This is going to come out this Friday. So in a couple weeks, you're playing at Barracuda.
Yes.
Any other bands on the bill? Are you guys headlining that show?
It's a band called Star Parks. And
Oh, yeah.
and they're having their album release that
Their
night.
album released that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andy Biancoli, the
Fantastic
frontman,
dude, yeah.
he's great. We did a project called ATX6.
Oh, yeah.
together.
Yeah.
He was one of the 6, and we spent some time in France together and Canada, and got to know each other really well through that. And he's awesome. I'm glad to finally be able to play a show with him.
Who else was in that the year you were in it? Was this last year? Or was it
No, this was 2016.
was Taylor Wilkins in it?
No.
No, that wasn't the Taylor Wilkins Mobley one.
We had Beth Chrisman, Jay Milano, Tate Mayu, Elijah.
Jay Milano was in it?
Yeah, Jay Milano.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just backed her up at a thing. I played guitar with her.
I need to check his.
Some giant pop just happened in my ears. So you've been able to be a part of quite a few of these things, like the Project ATX6. How was that for you? Did you enjoy it?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Did you enjoy your time in Project ATX6?
I absolutely loved it.
It seems like a really great experience.
Yeah, it changed. It changed a lot of things for me. I'd never really been on tour solo or like as a solo act before, and luckily with ATX6 you can really jam with the people that you're with and really like get to know some people. Chris Brecht put all that together.
Right,
and,
he's great
and was wonderful. And we really kind of like were flying by our seat of the pants, kind of learning together, and had a lot of control, and were able to just kind of go out there and do our thing for random people. And I think that the crowds responded really, really well to it.
That's awesome. Have you guys been able to get the deer over across the pond?
Not yet. No.
Maybe they'd love it.
Oh, I bet they would.
Yeah.
We'd have to rent equipment. It would be
a scene.
A feat for us economically.
Yeah.
But if we could do it one day, I think it would be really, really beneficial.
It's funny when you there's a thing that I think people that haven't won Black Fret grants that are kind of newer to the business that are out there like, oh, I can just get this and then I can just do all this stuff. But when you realize when you do that, it just puts you in a league where you need more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, man, I was just talking about this with Jack this morning. It's like, the more you do, the more you're expected to do.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. And you do a lot of shit, so...
Yep.
I would keep a lower profile.
Yeah,
so I don't expect more from you.
A little more.
No, you're... You guys are also doing Old Settlers Festival. I said that, and you're doing Kerrville Folk Festival, and then you're going on tour. Are any other Austin shows? I guess people can find out all the South by Southwest stuff by going to thedeermusic.com.
Yeah, our South by schedule will be solidified here in the next week or so.
Is radio a official place yet?
It is not. It usually is, but they're not doing one this year.
Okay.
They're doing a small, I think they're doing a weekend thing. Small, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Man, yeah, it gets so crazy here. What South by Southwest will this be for you? How many have you done?
Oh, dang. I think my first official was in 2016.
Okay.
But I'd been doing unofficial shows since 2006. Since I first started with the Blue Hit.
Yeah.
Every year. Sometimes 9 shows in a week.
Yeah. I did a thing once. I think I had 7 shows in a day where it was like,
good God,
why am I doing this? Like, what? Surely, shows 8 and 9 are not going to be nearly as impressive as 3 or 4.
5 of those are going to be duds.
Yeah.
2 of them are going to be all right.
One of them is going to be at 11 in the morning in a parking lot.
Uh-huh. And the sponsor is going to be Deep Eddy Vodka.
Yep, that's right. That's how it works. Is there anything I'm missing? I'm sure there's tons of stuff I'm missing, Grace, but it's just been really great talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the good convo.
You're as cool as people have told me you are, which is good.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. People can find the Deer at thedeermusic.com and check out Grace Rowland's artwork. It's absolutely fantastic. You can see it. The Deer Records, you do the artwork for all the albums. Mm-hmm. And if you go to gracerowland.com, you can see her other work. I liked your mosaic work a lot, and your paper work is really pretty.
Thank you.
Insane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
where do you get your paper? You must have a lot of paper. You have a guy?
I got a paper guy.
You got a good guy.
No, I get them at craft stores, and if I find a weird piece of paper, I pick it up.
Yeah. You spend a lot of time at Hobby Lobby or Michael's?
Yeah.
Oh. Is Michael still around?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see anymore.
Both got a good selection.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been great talking to you. And this album, Do No Harm, is fantastic. If you have not heard this album, it's gorgeous. So get out there and listen to it immediately, as well as their other stuff, Tempest and Rapture, on the Essence of the Indomitable Spirit, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous album.
Thank you.
And what's the name of the Grace Park and the Deer?
It's called An Argument for Observation.
An Argument for Observation. You have you have good album titles.
Thank you.
Someone's calling me. I will reject this call because we are in podcast time. Well, thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Drawn by the moon, I thought I'd never
Grace Rowland from the band The Deer. Their latest album, Do No Harm, is available now wherever it is you stream and download your jams. And you can see them Friday, March 6th at Barracuda right here in Austin, Texas. Also April 18th at Old Settlers Festival. May 31st at Kerrville Folk Fest. And I'm sure they're doing a lot of different things over on during South by Southwest. Keep up with them by going to thedeermusic.com. Also, Grace is playing that Bernie Sanders thing this weekend at the Mohawk on Sunday, I believe is the day. It's the Bernie Sanders fundraiser. Grace Rowland will be playing a solo set there. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the show, everyone. Don't forget, when you're out there checking out thedeermusic.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, all the places where you find podcasts. You'll get a new show every Tuesday and every Friday. Thanks again for listening to the show. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Here's some more music from The Deer. Let's get down.